Hello, welcome back. We haven't had a video for a while uh, because of complications, but welcome back. I hope that what I have to tell you is interesting. My class in person is the best way to go to class though because it's growing and it's a lot more fun. I want to announce that it's on Monday evenings and it's at 4 o'clock. And the reason it's at 4 o'clock is it gets dark early. And I mean, I've been doing this since I've been here. I've been doing it even before I was ordained. But I remember I used to be in a kid house, and it would be, I'd be doing class and be snowing like crazy outside. My thing was, get this class over with so we can get out of here so we don't slide off the roads. So, but now we're at the community center at the Parish Chapel, uh, 4 o'clock, and I live close. I can be home in 1 minute, so it's a lot less stressful for me. I am old. In February, early February, I will be 81 years old. Can you imagine that? So, okay. Well, I want to talk about Islam a little bit because it really has impacted us in many ways and will even more so because Islam is growing by leaps and bounds, mostly because they have large families. For starters, they have 4 wives. Now, in the United States, I don't know whether they can do that in the United States. I know the Mormons had real issues with polygamy in their history, and the government wanted to shut them down because I don't think it's legal to be have more than one wife in the United States. I don't know that for sure, but I'm pretty sure that you can only have one wife. And honest to goodness, who can afford more than one wife anyway? I mean, just think of your credit card. If you have each wife a credit card, oh man, you'd be bankrupt in a very short time. That's not nice, is it? Well, it's true though. So anyway, so it's growing. But I listened to Mitch Pacwa, as you know, is the priest at EWTN. He's a Jesuit priest, very smart, very good. And Robert Spitzer at Spitzer's University. Both of them say that actually it's not growing as quickly as people think. It's slowing down. In other words, maybe the economy. You can only import so many wives anymore. So, except in like the Emirates, I used to when I was on the ship. Our ship would always have a port call in Dubai, and Dubai is a very liberal country in the Muslim world, but Dubai um, has a lot of money. And I remember going to a conference offered by the wives of some of these sheikhs, they call them, and they were all converted to Islam. They were Irish girls. Oh, good looking. I'm telling you, they were beautiful, red hair and all that stuff. Gorgeous women. And of course, they were the ones that are noticed by the very wealthy people from the oil neighbors and all, and they were telling us that the Muslims treat women very well. Well, it might be in Dubai, but it was anyway. They tried to convert us, but we're all chaplains, so I don't think they were very successful. I know they were, but they had a lot of money in this one. I'm off the subject completely. I'm just very chatty. I'm very chatty. So, but anyway, Islam was begun by Muhammad, and the way you become a Muslim is simply make profess the faith, there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the prophet. That's it. That's it. If you say that publicly, then you are Muslim. You know, which is pretty much easier than baptism. You know, so. Uh, Muhammad, you know, it started when he was in the 580 or something when he was born, and that's something some people don't realize that Islam and the Muslims came later, and Christianity was in the Middle East for quite a few hundred years before Islam spread out. But when it did spread out, it just kind of took over everything. But you know, the people in that area at the time were Jews and Christians for the most part. And you know, those people are still there, you know, although sometimes the Christians are in a minority now. But anyway, he when he was old enough at Mecca, the city was Mecca, he went to caves above Mecca, outside of the city, and he was visited, the story goes, he was visited by the angel Gabriel, and he was terrified. He came home after one visitation, and his wife had to cover him over with a blanket. He was trembling in fear, and he continued to have those visitations as the Quran was dictated to him. Muhammad was not literate at all. He couldn't read or write. So he would tell other people, and they would write it down. And as a matter of fact, it was about 200 years before the writings about the life of Muhammad came about. The Hadith is called, and that's a long time. You know, he started writing about Jesus less than 40 years after he died, because well, the thing was, they would say, we have to get this written down because before we forget all about it. Where Jesus was reported and his details given, which we call the Gospels and such, or the letters of Paul. Although Paul did not, you know, he was called to faith like Jesus, you know, on the way to Emmaus. So that was different. He wasn't an apostle of Jesus in the same sense as the other apostles were. But so there was a long stretch of time between when things got written down. Even the Quran, it was collected in bits and pieces and then cobbled together later on. So they all came. But the thing is that he was terrified of his visitation. And I think about that, and I think, you know, St. Angel that visited Mary in what we call the Annunciation, which is also the incarnation, because that's when she became pregnant with the child Jesus. The angel was very respectful to her, very easygoing. He got her permission that she become pregnant. Otherwise, it would have been a forced thing, which would be called a rape. And so she was not. She was surprised, and I guess angels could be scary, but it wasn't terrifying. But that theme is the theme of Islam. That's why I bring it up, because it's submission, and submission is brought about by intimidation and fear. And so the question is Islam peaceful? And the answer is, after everybody's converted to the deal, but until then, look out Anna. You know, there's all kinds of stuff that happens. And so it depends on what group you encounter and so forth. But I will say people talk about Islam as if, you know, these terrorist groups were separated from them and not the same thing. No, it's not. There's an old saying, bad people are the good people. In other words, the people who we consider bad are actually good Muslims. They follow the Quran very strictly and quote it very strictly. They think they're carrying out the dictates of the Quran and of Muhammad. So there are two things. You read the Quran, you get an idea of what we're supposed to do, and you follow the example of Muhammad. He's the exemplar. Everything that Muhammad did in life is the way we are supposed to live our lives too, if we're Muslim. I don't think I'll ever become a Muslim myself. So, I mean, there's a hierarchy of being submissive. Non, once the Muslims control a country, non-Muslims have to be submissive to Muslims. Women have to be submissive to men, and so forth. And people, the leaders, are on top of the society. That's why we have in Iran the Ayatollah, and the Ayatollah Khomeini, or the current Ayatollah, he rules by the Quran, and he's very competent. I can see this rebellion going on in Iran. Well, he's very competent because he's following the Quran. He is doing what his religion dictates that he does. So he's not going to listen. He's not going to change his policies. He's going to do what he's going to do, and he expects everybody to be submissive. That's the stuff. So the question is raised: is the God of is Islam the same God as the God of Christianity? And the answer to that is everybody says so, but it's not so. It's a different God. The God of Islam is a master who must be obeyed. Must be obeyed. And there are consequences. So even the consequences, like if you are a crook and they try to convert you to Islam and you don't, then there's one. God will punish anyone who doesn't convert in this life or the next. So, in other words, if you are approached and refuse to accept Islam, you could end up having dire consequences in this life, but you could be not necessarily hell, but it would be a very, very unhappy afterlife. So, what about afterlife in Islam? Well, it's very material. Our afterlife is both material and spiritual. And the goal of our life in the next world is to have a close and loving relationship with God Himself, and especially through the person of Jesus. In Islam, that's just not possible. God is so utterly different that He's not going to have a close relationship with Him. That does not mean to say that Muslims are thinking that God, Allah, doesn't love His creation. Probably does. And certainly I've been around Islam enough to know that they can be very nice to each other. They have very good and close family life as well. So, but it's very oriented to the material thing. It's like going to a place that is sort of like the Jehovah's Witnesses, a place where it's ideal. It's like, babbling brooks and wonderful meadows filled with flowers and all these kinds of very sweet, nice things, and lots of good things to eat. And every man will receive his reward 72 virgins to meet his every need. Now that's a very, very man-oriented thing. And I don't like it because it makes it look like men, all they want is women and sex. Well, in the Muslim world, the men are much more bordered that way than in the Western world. I used to say, I used to joke, was that Virginians or virgins? Virginians are from Virginia. So, but also, that's eternity with even 72 virgins. That's a long time. That's, eternity is like forever. And so I just Well, personally, I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. You know? So how do you know which is the right God? Is it a master or is God a friend? And both religions teach that God made us in his image and likeness. So we can look at human nature and see who God is because in the Christian world, God is love. He actually is love itself. And the Trinity bears it out. The Father loves the Son, and the Son and the Father love together, generating the Holy Spirit. So, and we want to spend eternity in an issue of love, and that's our human nature. We all want relationships, don't we? You know, as opposed to just obeying. So to me, that is a tip-off of, I think the Muslims might have gotten it wrong. Now, what do I know? But I think, that listen, it doesn't match up with human behavior as well as Christianity does. So, what do they say about Christianity? Well, they say that we are people of the book. We're infidels, and people of the book who need to be converted. And they say, initially, all the prophets of Israel were Muslims, but then the people came along and spoiled the faith and robbed the people of what it means to be a true Muslim. And it's such that then more prophets have been sent. Finally, they sent Jesus, who was also a prophet. They don't think he was the Son of God, but they do think he's one of the greatest of prophets. The greatest and last prophet is Muhammad himself. There will be no other prophet after Muhammad. But they say that Christians then, ruined Islam as well. So that's why the Muhammad had to come. And they say that when Jesus comes again, that he will smash the cross and lead all people to the true faith, which he is a true Muslim. So he can convert the rest of the world to Islam as well. Jesus will do that. So they have kind of a mixed message about Jesus and Mary. They're both in the Quran. They're both greatly respected and admired. The only two people in history, according to Muslims, is Mary and Jesus, both considered sinless. So Muhammad was not considered sinless at all. So, and I remember when I was in Ephesus, that's a good thing about being in the Navy. You get to go a lot of different places. So I've been to Ephesus a couple of times. And there's a bus trip you can take from Ephesus up to Mary's house. So, where, as you know, on the cross, John the Baptist said, "Behold your mother," and to Mary, "Behold your son," because he needed somebody to look after his mother after he died. He was going to die soon. He knew that. Now, how he had that discussion, suffering on the cross like that, it's kind of hard to understand. But anyway, John the Apostle, the beloved Apostle, that took Mary with him to Ephesus, and where he was the bishop for a long time until later. And of course, Mary, she was assumed into heaven. We call it the Feast of the Assumption, which is assumed in heaven. And then later on, John was in exile. He was exiled to Patmos, which is an island in Aegean, where he wrote the book of Revelation. And so, but that's a whole different story. And so, anyway, the church buses will go up to Mary's house up in the hills, and we would think they would be filled with Christians, but they weren't. They were all Muslims because they have a great regard for her. and Jesus. And so it was a very interesting place. The house was a stone house. It had a couple of rooms, and it was like a church. They had an altar and stuff like that, and a statue of the Blessed Virgin. So that's probably not the way she get set up housekeeping. She probably didn't have an altar and a statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary in her own home. That's probably set up by others. So that was, and I had an unfortunate situation because I wore a very nice pair of khaki pants, and it was raining, and I slipped and fell in the mud, and I was covered with mud. So I wanted to wash the mud off, and then I was buttered in. So I washed my pants, still wearing them. So I was walking around with very wet pants, and so it was not a fun trip at all. But anyway, that's my story, and so anyway, um, to be a Muslim that requires very little. They actually say the proof that it's the truth is its simplicity, because the first step is to make the profession of faith publicly, and the second step is prayer. And every Muslim is expected to go to the mosque morning, mid-afternoon, noon, and night. Or mid-afternoon. It's 5 times a week we go to the mosque. And people are very loyal to them. I've been like in Dubai and different Muslim countries, and you can go to the mosque. I don't know if anybody's been to a mosque, but we Christians can go to the mosque. They allow that. There are different rituals you have to go through. You have to wash your hands, and you go in, and they separate the women from the men. And so, but you see some of that in Judaism too. In some of the older synagogues, women are separated as well. But mosques, in some places, are really quite beautiful. With the big ones. You know, the famous was Hagia Sophia means holy wisdom. And that was a Christian church in Constantine's time, when the city was called Constantine. And that was actually confiscated from the Christians and turned into a mosque. It was very large. But the mosque in that city, this is a mosque called the Blue Mosque, is absolutely gorgeous. And they're very famous for their tiles. And this one is a lot of blue tiles. And a lot of turquoise. They like turquoise. Turquoise comes from the same word as Pluto. And so, anyway, the other thing you have to do is the fast. There's a certain time of the year, and it changes because they're on a lunar calendar rather than our calendar based on the Gregorian, which is based on the sun. And so Ramadan happens, it's a whole month of fasting, and they fast from morning to night. And when they fast when the sun comes up, all the way through the day, no water, no drink, no intimacy of any kind, all day long. But then when the sun goes down, you can eat yourself silly because you're not fasting. And I remember going to the malls in Dubai, which were fabulous, huge malls with all kinds of expensive stuff. And going to the food court. But the only ones in the food court were non-Muslims. And I remember, I always get that naan bread. Oh, that's so good. They make it by putting it on the side of the ovens. Oh, it's delicioso. And we used to go there just to get naan bread because it was so delicious. And a Diet Coke. And so that was it. And I kind of admire their culture because at least the people there are very affluent, so they have a very enjoyable lifestyle. And all the men wear those, they look like Catholic priests with their albs on, and from head to toe, but very light linen cloth, and usually not a whole lot underneath. So, and that's a way to eat. And then after that, you have to make a pilgrimage to Mecca, or you have to process around the Kaaba, the Q, which is reported, I think, uh, Mohammed's house at one time or something. I don't know what it is, actually, but it's considered very holy. And they go around, they process around in a circle. I've seen movies about it where it's like a slow photography. You can see the people going around and around, forming a circle around. It's very impressive. So why are people joining Islam? Well, they do evangelize, and they're very insistent on people becoming Muslims. But mostly, it's attractive to people because um, it is simple. And in this day and age, with so many Americans are not very much church, as we call. Uh, most of us are older, grew up in a church. But nowadays, our society is becoming increasingly secular. And so when you forward a religion that's very simple, just go to mosque, pray, and the prayer sessions usually not very long. They go to the mosque on Fridays and get a sermon that time. But otherwise, it's just good prayer time, and you're out of it. Wash up, go pray, and then go back to work. And so, very simple and very easy. There's not a theological reason religion in some way. You don't have to learn a whole lot. There's no RCIA in Islam. You don't have to learn a ton of stuff. So that's appealing to a lot of people who don't know a whole lot about religion. But do they see? I remember Pope Benedict XVI. He went to Regensburg and made a speech. In my day, it was a big thing to do because he challenged the Muslim world to make up their mind: are they a religion of peace, or are they going to be a religion of war and persecution? And the answer to that is they. This is the way a Muslim thinks about it. They are going to be unrest until people convert. Once everybody's converted, then there'll be peace. So that when they talk about Islam being a religion of peace, what they mean is after everybody converts, then there'll be a religion of peace. And so we have to be careful of what we say. I hope I haven't said anything that's too disagreeable to Muslims, but in our country it's become quite woke. And I don't mean to be political there, but the Democrat Party is very protective of Islam. And that kind of starts, the time it started with President Obama, who was very close to Islam, and he even helped fund the Muslim Fellowship, Muslim Brotherhood, which is very operational in Egypt at the time. And I think that they made it possible for them to get a great deal of money from this. But don't take that for sure, because I may be mistaken about that. But Obama said the precedent of being it's not cool to criticize Muslims, and they've taken it like some kind of a victimhood kind of stance that they're treated badly. So I think I've run out of time. So I wanted to say a lot more, but I want you to be grateful for this, and I'm sure you're on that I didn't say a lot more. And so, but I think my class is moving on because see, I taught this subject a couple of weeks ago, and so I need to not say much more about it, to go back to my notes. So, because I want to have some consistency between the class I'm teaching in person in the class I do on video. So it's the same thing, so I don't have to compare. I don't have to compare different things. Well, I'm really out of time. So, y'all come back. You hit. Nice seeing you.